Hi, how's it going? This will be my first long form video on the channel, and it's going to be about one of my favourite animes of all time, Bleach. And I'll be going over my top 5 favourite Zanpakuto from the show. However, when going over the Bankai for the show, I'll try and avoid ones that haven't been shown in the anime, just in case people who haven't read the manga stumble across the video and decide, oh, I'll give that a watch. But without further ado, this is my top 5 list. Number 5, Kyoka Suigetsu, Zanpakuto of the main antagonist throughout the Arrancar arc and possibly End of Soul Society, Sosuke Aizen. Sosuke Aizen is the most manipulative character in the entire show. He is evil down to the bone. However, when it comes to his Zanpakuto, that is what makes him so much more interesting. The ability of Kyoka Suigetsu is complete hypnosis. It completely takes control of all 5 senses of the human body. Taste, touch, sight, smell, hearing, allowing Aizen to completely manipulate his opponent. For example, the first time we see Aizen use his Zanpakuto was all the way back in the Soul Society arc, when he used it to fake his own death. However, more recently in the anime, we have seen Aizen use his Zanpakuto when tricking Yuha into thinking that he had only been down to Muken for a very short time. Aizen doing this allowed Ichigo to arrive in time and eventually face off against Yuha and fend him off from the Soul Society, allowing the Soul Society to survive the first Quincy invasion. Next on my list, I have Senbonzaka, the Zanpakuto of Captain Byakuya Kuchiki. Senbonzaka's Shikai form allows the blade to scatter into thousands of mini blades that take on the appearance of petals fallen from a sakura tree, hence the name. In Bankai form, however, Byakuya multiplies these flower petals at least 1,000 times by summoning blades from the floor, which individually scatter. He has many different abilities when in Bankai form, such as Senkei, allowing him to create a dome of pink swords around his opponent, and one by one using them to obliterate his opponent and completely rip them to shreds. I believe one of the best moments to come from Byakuya's Bankai was its main reveal. The reveal of Byakuya's Bankai was something that was hyped up through the entire Soul Society arc, and when we finally get to see it in his battle with Renji, it lives up to its glory. The way he uses it to completely eviscerate Renji, who we have seen spent this time training his own Bankai, puts into perspective the sheer power of this Zanpakuto. Number 3 on my list is a Zanpakuto we have seen very rarely in both the anime and the manga. It is Shinji Hirako's Sakanade. Sakanade's special ability is to release a scent from itself. This scent inverts anyone who smells it, or as he says in his fight with Aizen, his inverted world. The inverted world allows Shinji to take advantage of a fighter's main attribute, vision. Shinji's Zanpakuto only has very few weaknesses, one of which is Kyoka Suigetsu for the fact that can also manipulate people's senses. Another one is a sort of AoE attack, as seen in the 1000-Year Blood War. Spoiler alert for anyone, I know I said I wouldn't get into him, but I'm going to bring this up. Spoiler alert. In his fight with Bambi at Abastabine, Shinji activates his Shikai form. He even learned how to talk backwards simply to make the illusion more prominent. However, Bambi at Abastabine's ability, the Explosion, allowed her to completely decimate Shinji without needing to know left from right. Taking the number 2 spot on my list is Ryujinjaka, the Zanpakuto of the former head captain Yamamoto. Ryujinjaka is physically the most powerful Zanpakuto in the entire series. It is the most destructive force we have ever seen in Bleach. When it comes to its main ability, it simply summons giant plumes of flame. However, when its Bankai form, Zanka no Tachi, it has a multitude of different abilities. However, I am only going to get into the first 2 he demonstrates, as I have planned for a different video down the road. The first ability is Zanka no Tachi East. This allows Yamamoto to absorb all of his flames into the very tip of his blade, and as he says in the anime and manga, it does not burn or emit an explosive flame, it simply erases everything it comes into contact with, making it an incredibly destructive force. But the second ability is my personal favourite out of all of his abilities in Bankai form. This is his Zanku no Tachi West, allowing him to coat himself and all of his surroundings in his flames. However, the temperature of his flames increased to 15 million degrees Celsius, or as he puts it, the sun. And I believe that this is the simply coolest thing that could ever be shown, of a character literally being enveloped by the sun itself. Now I would like to move on to some honourable mentions before getting to number 1. And for my first honourable mention I have Katen Kyokotsu, the Zanpakuto of the brand new head captain Shunsui Kyoraku. This Zanpakuto is a tricky one. It allows the user to play child games. For example, Kageoni, which Kageoni allows Shunsui to attack whoever is standing on their shadow by appearing from it and stabbing them in the back. Next on my honourable mentions is Renji Abarai's Zabimaru. Zabimaru, all in all, is a simple looking sword aside from the giant jagged teeth shown on its blade. However, this sword does have a specific ability. This sword can extend almost like a snake and wrap itself around opponents or thrash them and whip them. However, the Bankai of Renji Abarai, Hihio Zabimaru, turns the sword into a giant skeletal snake, allowing it to separate into different pieces, fly back together, and use a large beam attack. Last on my honourable mentions list is Ichigo Kurosaki's Zangetsu. Zangetsu is far from a traditional Zanpakuto, as it is permanently in its Shikai form, having a large black blade, no handle, and lack of a guard. Zangetsu is an incredibly powerful sword and allows Ichigo to use the famous move Getsuga Tensho. However, in Bankai, it becomes far smaller and resembling your average katana, but it also changes Ichigo's outfit. Ichigo's Bankai also changes the appearance of his Getsuga Tensho. When early in the anime, it changed the Getsuga Tensho to be black and red, and later in the anime, it became black and white. However, this isn't the only ability Ichigo gets in Bankai form, as he also gets an incredible boost in his speed. And finally, the number 1 spot on my list goes to Kisuke Urahara's Benihime. Benihime is a short, one-handed blade that produces crimson slashes. Not only does it produce crimson slashes, Kisuke can manipulate these slashes into being whatever he wants. For example, he creates barriers, he creates nets, and he produces various other crimson coloured energy techniques. The reason Benihime is in my number 1 spot is I find it the most visually appealing Zanpakuto. I also find that it has the most unique and sort of cool power. Some might say Kyoka Suigetsu is much more unique as it can control all 5 senses, or Sakanade as it completely inverts people. However, I believe that Kisuke being able to manipulate this crimson energy in whatever way he wants to can manifest itself into the most useful and resourceful Zanpakuto there is. Well, thanks for clicking on the video. Like I said, it's my first time ever making a video this long. It's the first time ever really making a video. The editing, it's again my first time, so it's going to be a bit choppy, but thanks for watching, you know, I appreciate being able to just blabber on about my favourite anime. Thanks for listening.